Coach is one of the most popular fashion brands in the world, finding its start in 1941 as a family-owned storefront operating in New York under the name Manhattan Leather Bags. It was initially run by husband and wife duo Miles and Lillian Cann. The two had begun the store with a brand vision influenced by, believe it or not, baseball gloves, with their initial lineups of products being sold in earthy tan colors. As time continued, the brand saw more and more success as they diversified, which ultimately led to an explosion of Coach's popularity across the 90s and early 2000s, when fashion was becoming swiftly unstructured and heavily experimental. However, there came a point in their history where the once famous Coach bag lost its name. Following this period of widespread popularity, Coach began to see its company fall off the grid, and eventually down the corporate water slide to failure. They seemed destined to collapse, yet that didn't quite happen, and to this day, Coach remains one of the staple names in Western fashion design. But what happened in the mix that caused them to rise, fall, and rise yet again? After their founding, Coach's first major success was with their Coach Cowhide women's bags, their first step into the women's fashion market. The bags sold out swiftly and became a major hit in the 1950s. As time continued, Coach would hire designer Bonnie Cashin, one of the largest names in American sportswear at the time, to design for their company. Cashin operated at Coach up until 1974, inventing design elements we still see in their products today. She introduced many of the small gimmicks we see manufacturers making to this day, such as coin purses. However, the company's widespread success can be attributed to their hiring of Richard Rose in 1965, who's credited with the popularity the organization has today. Rose got Coach into department store sections across the United States, making it swiftly into a household title. Following their massive success, they would sell Coach to the Sara Lee Corporation for $30 million in 1985. Following the sale, Coach boutiques began to show up across Macy's department stores in big cities like New York and San Francisco. By the end of 1986, Coach was running 12 independent storefronts and 50 boutiques across the United States. Then CEO Lou Frankfort wanted to expand the company as much as possible, however, and so he came up with an idea at the time to target a specific subset of the population that'd enable them to grow quickly. From that point onwards, Coach began to target their sales towards the middle class, who wanted high-quality goods. Coach became the high-quality bag on a budget. However, a problem arose from this, the issue of brand identity. As the years rolled on, Coach didn't have much idea as to what they were really doing. Were they trying to sell to upper-class retail shoppers or discount stores? Customer perception took a toll on the company's sales as well, as major brand changes caused their outlook to shift. For one, the company's branding was causing them issues. Their method of identifying a Coach bag, printing a C on a canvas, was allowing imitators to get away with selling bootleg bags. As the early 2000s rolled on, they became more frequent. Secondly, wanting to expand, Coach began to open more and more stores to spread their outreach further. But when this plan didn't work out and certain products saw low sales, they immediately switched to discounts, causing people to see them as a low-budget brand. It was a really big issue for them. These problems got worse and worse the more stores they opened. As the 2000s kept rolling in, Coach stores began popping up everywhere, and I mean everywhere, from high-class luxury shopping centers to strip malls and outlets. With their widespread sales accompanying their outreach, everyone suddenly began wearing Coach products and using Coach bags. The perception of their brand became just another bag, nothing to truly save up for. They made pretty large attempts around this time to fix their brand image. Around 2001 to 2009, Coach products were being seen donned by major celebrities on the red carpet as they battled to save their company from the much more popular competition. However, the quality Coach was once known for obviously had to fall to meet demand. Unlike the once handmade leather goods they sold, the new products couldn't compete. Even with the ever-rising sales, their brand position in the market fell, and their share of the fashion world began dwindling quickly. The early 2000s passed by as Coach entered the mid-2000s. Across the years between 2010 to 2013, Coach's market share collapsed, as critics continued to lament the company's now poor quality work. Their position as the fashion brand to buy was no longer apparent. Their products became tacky and generic, and as the 2000s continued to push on into the latter portion of the 2010s, they became what the average consumer saw as outdated. Simply put, for a while, Coach became a discount company trying to appear luxurious. It really seemed like there was no way to pull themselves out of the hole they dug. That is, of course, until the explosive rise of the internet. Their attempts at revamping the brand around this time were nothing when compared to the sudden resurgence of nostalgic revitalization that took shape online. In order to understand what happened to Coach, you have to know what Y2K culture is. Y2K is the term used to label iconic elements of the early 2000s, namely in the visual trends of that period. Seeing the shifting popularity towards this sort of fashion online, Coach immediately took advantage of this now rising culture. In 2020, Coach teamed up with Paris Hilton, one of the largest names in Y2K fashion, for a major fashion campaign. The company brought back their once famous swinger bags with some subtle changes to make them fit into a modern environment. With Paris Hilton posing next to Coach's iconic monogrammed branding, people immediately gained interest in the company yet again. They began releasing a series of modernized bags following this point, taking their old styles and making them more minimal and practical for a new age audience. And as such, the company did the unexpected. With Gen Z's renowned interest in nostalgia and the bizarre shift in cultural attitudes that followed, Coach saw their brand reclaim its title amongst the major names in the fashion industry. And they now seem here to stay as the world's leading name in affordable luxury.